to move to the second part of this session. We have as well, but he's the present and absent as well, Mr. Mamdouh. He was very interested in this process, and he has sent us a short video that we are going to see now. Dr. Mamdouh is the legal advisor of Kings and Holding for legal services, and he's a professor in London, and he has occupied so many positions and posts, including that he was working in the World Trade Organization, and he was the first expert in the services sector, and he was as well assumed the development of the services policy in the organization. So he is an expert in this field. He was going to come, but afterwards he has apologized and sent this short video for us. The Egyptian Center for Economic Studies, I would like to thank it for this invitation to participate in the workshop, and I would like to apologize for not being able to attend in person today. In fact, I would like at the outset to highlight the importance of this topic and the critical time in which we are addressing this topic at the national level and at the international level. First of all, the topic and its importance, of course, we cannot exaggerate the importance of digitalization that all the world is witnessing. And this digitalization presents unprecedented opportunities, but at the same time, it causes so many challenges that we have to address at the national level or the local level and the international level. In fact, digitalization is not a choice, it's a fact and reality, and we have to deal with it based on the developments, the natural developments that are resulted from the modern technologies and the methods of work, the modern methods of working, what we call innovative business model. The digitalization, in fact, to be deep while we tackle it, we have to start from the basics. Digitalization creates two parallel worlds, the tangible world and the digital world, what we call online and offline worlds. And in fact, these two worlds, within their framework, we conduct some activities and treatments. So all the policies, legislations, and the regulating frameworks that deal with the offline need as well to deal with the online world. But all these things, whether they have to do with the practices of the state, of its sovereignty, implementing contracts, respecting confidentiality, privacy, protecting intellectual property, and even protecting and respecting the public order, and to maintain the tranquility and public health and public ethics and morals, we have to deal with these things as well as at the online level. The offline world is tangible and seen, while the online world is the opposite. What's important for us is to tackle the experiences of the other countries, and other countries deal with this issue with different manners and methods. But the countries that have succeeded to deal with this phenomenon in an effective manner are those who dealt with it on a comprehensive level, which means that this digitalization issue does not have to do with a certain sector or a certain governmental entity or a certain ministry. It has to do with all the ministries and entities, the public entities and the service entities as well. And it has to do with the activities of the private sector and business sector and the social development and raising the standard of the living of the people. This needs the effective participation of all the parties, of the stakeholders, and all the parties that have even indirect relationship with how to tackle or address digitalization in the modern world. The workshop is focusing on the public efforts or the governmental efforts, and it tackles two sides: the practices of the government, of sovereignty and organizational services, and the services that provided by the government to the society or community. The role of the government is to develop and make available the factors that enable the usage of tools and solutions of digital technology with respect to providing the services and practicing or exercising its sovereignty authorities or prerogatives. And this requires providing or making available so many factors like infrastructure of telecommunications sector, developing or improving the cognitive skills, the programmatic skills, the software. We have to have the hardware in the infrastructure and the software that manages the infrastructure. And thus, one of the most important things that's exercised by the government is in developing regulations and laws and regulating and executive regulations that have to go in parallel with digitalization. And here we look to the relationship between the government and citizens, the relationship between the government and the citizen, and gradually it's turning into a digital relationship or using digital solutions, and there's a relationship between the citizens themselves in all the trade treatments, or whether from the perspective of the ordinary people or the legal persons like companies and trading entities or commercial entities. It's a wide topic, and we have to tackle it with a strategic and comprehensive perspective or vision. But Egypt is not starting from zero or from scratch, because the Egyptian government is represented by the Ministry of Communication, has developed a strategy with the UNICTAD in Geneva, and it was developed last year. It's a national strategy for for e-commerce, and this strategy deals with so many aspects that have to do with how to develop policies and regulating rules to deal with digitalization. I'm not saying that the strategy is including all the aspects that should be tackled, but it is a starting point, and it is an advanced starting point. There are so many proposals that are that might be tackled. What are the strategies and policies, and even the institutional strategies that we have to take into our consideration, and what are the public sectors and entities that have to be participating in the activities, starting with the Ministry of Communications and all the ministries that are competent, because the topic has so many aspects, as I have said, that should be discussed with, for example, the central bank, the e-payments, the transaction of money, dealing with the Ministry of Commerce or Trade with respect to international commercial negotiations. And I'm going to offer some of the proposals in that respect, dealing with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs regarding our relationships with the other countries. So one of the most important things is how to deal with other countries and cooperate with them to deal with some of the issues that need international solutions and could not be solved locally. form of legislations, local laws only. Everything that has to do with cross-border, cross-jurisdictional treatments, this needs solutions that are based on international cooperation to achieve cooperation solutions. For example, things that have to do with the flow of information cross borders and security issues, issues that have to do with intellectual property, privacy, or confidentiality of information, of trade or security, the information that has to do with the national security. So the solution here, the optimum solution that's adopted by so many countries, is not to restrict the trade in an absolute manner and restrict the economic transactions, whether they are on investment level or economic level, but to deal with these new technological challenges through modern methodologies that have to do with coordination between governments. And here I would like to say, or to talk about the latest developments in Davos. 2 days ago, it started commercial negotiations between 70 members of the WTO to achieve some of the solutions for the critical or urgent issues. Egypt participated in these negotiations because so many of the commercial or trade partners for Egypt, whether from the Arab countries or from Turkey, EU, United States, or even Asian countries like China, they all participate in these negotiations, and they achieve some solutions that might facilitate the economic and trade transactions. And here I'm going to stop. And I wish that this workshop is the start for huge and great efforts, as we have always been used from the Egyptian Center for Economic Studies, to serve Egypt and to serve a future, a promising future, and peace be upon you.
It was very important what Mr. Abdel Hamid talked about, the inclusion perspective that Egypt can join the train as soon as possible, instead of watching the train leaving and then start running after the train. So the whole world is negotiating either the sustainability, the economic development, digitalization, and other issues. I would like to ask Dr. Khaled Derbala sorry, to take the floor. So all the questions, when we were talking about the questions, the first one, we wanted to know the governmental initiatives. And here we have the government. And in each workshop, we're going to talk about in specific details. And we would like to know the right and the correct process done by the government. So, Dr. Khaled Derbala, because I want to read your title, the digitalization consultant, and he worked with the government in lots of technological projects, like the geotechnicians, building a database and an information, and so he is an expert, a professional. Please, Dr. Khaled, the floor is yours. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, I won't be lengthy. the part that I'm supposed to talk about in the presentation is the definition of the different terminologies that we deal with, which is becoming a kind of a stereotype, like the digital transformation, the automation, sustainability, or digital sustainability, etc. So instead of those working in the IT, they have a very sophisticated terminologies. So I decided to show you an example that it might explain these definitions. Me, myself, I call it the plug system. For example, if you have a plug exactly the same like this one, and the plug is not fixed, so what is the solution? You either repair it, or you do this thing that you see in front of you. You put some books, so after a while you will find that the books are about to fall down, so you bring more books. So you bring a chair, and then papers. The slide you see in front of you, the plug is fixed only by this paper. So what is the story of the plug and the paper? The work system is the plug, which is not fixed. The exceptions that we have every now and then are the regulations and the procedures. They are like supporting the plug. Supporting by what? By some regulations and some ministerial decisions. And this depends on the legislations and the laws. And all these are supported by the paper. And what is the paper? The paper is the constitutional articles. Because the constitutional article is just a line. And then below the line we have like 6,000 laws. So what's the big problem here that we face? What you see in front of you, by mean of time, it is the current system, the practical or the actual system. It was formed this way because we did not bother fixing the plug. And at the end, I call it the plug system. What is the meaning of digitalization? If the current system, I'm going to do a kind of automation, so this I'm going to do it this way, so I will call it automation. If I fix it, I will call it digital transformation. Is it clear? In a very simple way. I don't want to talk about sophisticated terminologies of the IT terminologies. This just to explain it in a very simple way. These are the terminologies just for the presentation, but what's enough for me that you got the picture, that you know what I mean. Digitalization, either the automation, which is the automation, which is the creation of technology and its application in order to control and monitor the production. Then digital economy, the economy, all the issues related to economy are going to be digitalized. The sustainability is the ability to adopt and thrive in the digital economy. Let's stop here and let's talk serious a little bit. If I would like to put a unified or a model in order to do an actual digitalization or digital transformation, when I go or when I visit an organization and I found out that they have a problem and I need to do the digitalization. So what is the first things that I focus on? First of all, I have to look at the goals. What are the objectives of the organizations? Why this organization is established, and this is applicable on the system, on a work system, in a system. The next step is the current system that you have, that in our expressions we call it the as is. Is this enough to fulfill your requirements and your needs to achieve your objectives? By combining these two factors together, or those two reasons together, we will reach the weakness in the current system, and which is the main reason for me to do such kind of transformation. By knowing the three entities, I have what we call the to be. The to be is the form of the system after fixing what is wrong. Up till here, I didn't do any digital transformation. I did not introduce technology. I did the transformation, but I did not introduce technology. When technology comes, technology will come when I start in a certain stage, which is enablement. Simply, I talk about what are the factors that are needed to be provided in order to achieve the objectives of the new system. These factors may, and put under may, 100 lines, technology might be the solution, and it might not, meaning that these factors, as if it is the recipe of a certain dish. It is like the key success factor. What are the factors that impact the success of the process? The water is the main ingredients of any dish. Can I cook without water? Yes, I can. I can grill fish with salt without water. This is a dish. Yes, very rare cases, but it exists. Why I'm giving such an example? Because technology mustn't be one of the reasons. Yes, technology, it might be a reason for success, but actually how to use technology, how to work with technology is the key of success. I don't look at technology as if it is the only thing that is going to save me and the only thing that is going to rescue me. No, it's one of the factors, one of the reasons. After enablement, I have something what is called POV. This model was implemented or was launched in Germany in 2013. We did some amendments and some adoption in order to be proper for Egypt. When they start launching this in Germany in 2013, they used it in the industry, and they found that the main point or the first step is to mention or to step on your main objectives. And I can give examples from the current system in Egypt, which is a very successful model and very efficient. And because it's very successful, nobody is talking about it. The system of governmental accountability. This system was conducted in the year 1980, and the system was very clear. Meaning that because the government, they do have the usage and the resources. This is the main reason of the system. So now, nobody is talking about the digital transformation of the governmental accountability, because the system is there, is already there, and it is achieving the objectives. But I want to tell you a surprise. Actually, the objectives were not set in the year 1981. The objectives were set in the year 1805. The Egyptian governmental accountability was submitted in the year 1805 under the supervision of Muhammad Ali, King Muhammad Ali. For example, if you go and pay anything for in any of the governmental entities, you will get a red receipt, and you will find some Arabic letters on the upper part of the page. What are these two Arabic letters? Ain, Ha. Muhammad Ali, when he ruled Egypt in the year 1805, he assigned or he assigned Lazogli Basha in order to be responsible for the governmental incomes. Lazogli Basha, he worked in this field and in writing down all the costs and all the incomes for the different governmental entities. And he called it Ain Ha. So I'm going to end up to assure that technology is not the rescue factor. Again, do you know this symbol, this label, this logo? Intel wanted to be the leader in the microprocessor, to be as a sales revenue all over the world. They said they set their objectives and they transferred these goals into objectives, and they said we wanted to achieve 70 plus shares worldwide. So they started setting their objectives. They didn't have a system in order to apply the transformation. So they came up with a new system, and the new system was called Intel Inside. This program, this is the design, which is the to be. They wanted to execute, to do the enablement, to implement it. So what was the enablement of Intel? We have digital marketing, we have social media marketing, I have lots of things. Actually, Intel didn't do this at all. Intel, what they do, they print a sticker to be sticked on the computer. That was the enablement of their system. Did you got the idea? Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Khaled. Technology is not the rescue factor, but how to use technology. When we talk about digital transformation, I have to know what are the things that are needed to be transferred and what is the proper technology that I'm going to use and how to use the technology.